Hello, welcome to another video of Code Snippet, and in this video we are going to learn an important skill that every developer should have, that is debugging. As a developer, you should be able to effectively find the bugs and issues inside your application. And in order to achieve this, there are many tools available in order to help the developer. And in this video, we are going to look into how we can debug Java and Spring Boot applications by using IntelliJ Debugger. So let's get started without wasting any time. This is going to be another fun video, so sit back, relax and enjoy the show. Alright, so let's quickly jump into the agenda of this particular video. So debugging in IntelliJ. So first of all, we will start with the basics of debugger. So all the basic stuff I've already covered in this particular video. We will just have a recap of the basic stuff again in this particular video to get started with. If you want, you can just go ahead and check out this particular video as well. You will get a basic idea. Once we have a recap, we will move to advanced stuff. So there is a lot of stuff that IntelliJ IDEA debugger will give us. For example, smart step into variable and method breakpoints. We have stream change. This is very interesting stuff. After that, we have move to cursor. We have exception breakpoints as well. Again, important stuff. After that, we have evaluate expressions. We have threads and dumps as well. So there are many things that we are going to look into in this particular video. We will also see how AI will help us to debug our Spring Boot applications inside IntelliJ. That is basically the quick agenda of this particular video. So let's get started. So let's quickly go through the basics of debugger. So let me just move to IntelliJ over here. So this is basically IntelliJ, and I have created a simple project over here. So if you see over here, it is a Spring Boot application. If I go inside it, you will see that I have a simple controller. I have one model over here. I have a repository class and I have a service over here. If I go inside controller, we have a very simple controller which contains one API and which plays around orders basically. Here we are injecting all other services. We have constructor injection, and we have this particular API over here. Now, if you have understanding of Spring Boot application, well and good. If you don't have understanding of Spring Boot application, that's not at all a problem. If you use IntelliJ, you will have an understanding of how to debug the applications over here, right? Now, here, if you go inside this particular main class, then you can click on this particular icon over here and run your application. So if I run it, it will just be running on this particular 8080 port. So here, if you see, our application started on 8080 port, and you can also run it from here. So if I click on this icon, it will just say stop and rerun, right? So that is how you can just simply run your application. And I will be using Postman in order to hit this particular API. So if I go back to controller over here, then you will see that we have this orders API, orders/process over here. So if I call this particular API, it will just return some kind of dummy data to us from the repository, right? Simple stuff basically. And you will see that we are just printing the stuff over here. Now this is very simple application, right? Now how we can debug this particular application? Now first of all, when you want to debug your application, what you need to do? You need to run your application in debug mode. That is a basic rule. You can just go to this particular class. You can right click over here and you can just say debug this particular app. Or you can just go ahead and click on this particular icon over here which says debug demo debug app, right? If I click over here, it will just restart. This particular application will just restart. Now how I can debug over here, right? Now let's say I want my application to stop when the control comes over here. So what I will do, I will just add a breakpoint over here. I will just go ahead and click over here, which will add a breakpoint for me. It says line and lambdas breakpoint. So it is basically a breakpoint. If I right click on it, you will see that we have more options available over here, which we will see later, right? So let's come back now. Now I have added a simple breakpoint. Now if you see over here, our application is running and this is a debug console. Now here if you see, it is basically a debug console, right? So now here you will see that we have multiple options available, right? So we have a rerun option, we have stop option, we have pause option as well. And we have this view breakpoint option and we have this mute breakpoint option. If I click on it, you will see that this particular dot turned white. That means the breakpoints are now muted. Now if I go back and try to send this, then you will see that nothing happened. We got the result because our breakpoint is there, but it is muted. Now if I unmute it and try to do same thing, let me try to send, then you will see that our application is just waiting for us to evaluate stuff, right? Now what I will do, now here you will see that it is waiting over here. Now here, since our application is waiting, few other options are enabled like resume program, right? That means once I click on this, it will just move to next breakpoint. For example, it will just go to this particular breakpoint basically, right? That we have added over here. Simple stuff. After that, we have step over. That means we want to go to next line After that we have step into, that means we want to go inside this particular function, that is what is happening inside a function. After that step out, that means we want to come out of function. After that we have view breakpoints. If I click on it, you will see that there are different breakpoints, and here you will see all the breakpoints that we have over here. If I click on it, all the breakpoints will be removed. If I click back, it will be just added, right? Now if I expand this, you will see that we have a lot of stuff over here. Here you will see all the variables. For example, let's say in this particular class, all the variables that we have, right? Since we have this order and this processed variable, we are getting the details of those variables as well. So for example, on these orders, we have these three objects basically, right? We have these three objects present inside order list. After that, in process list, we have again three objects present. So you can just go ahead and check this data in this way, right? Simple stuff basically. Or what you can do, you can also go ahead and hover over here, and it will just show you what exactly is present inside this particular list of order. So there are basically three orders, and you can do the same stuff with processed as well. So if I open over here, you will see that we have these three orders, which are basically processed orders. Now if I say step over, then it will just go to next line, right? So this particular icon will move to next line. If I click it again, it will just go to Java internal classes, because it will keep on going. Now if I say resume, then it will just exit and return us the result. Now I can just click on send again, and now we will come back to this particular order from the beginning again, right? Now if I say step into, that means it will go to this particular find all method. Since we are calling find all, so what it will do, it will just go to find all method. If I say step out, it will come back to this particular function, and it will just come out of that particular find all method. So these are basically two simple options that we have over here, step into and step out. This is basically just a overview of what do we have on this particular tool, right? After that, we have frames over here. For example, let's say if I go inside find all and add another debug point over here, and let's just say resume program, then you will see we are inside a find all call. So this is basically find all method, and inside this particular frame, it will be visible that from which particular class you came from. So we came from order controller process, and now we are at this particular order repository. Simple stuff. After that, if I click on threads, it will show you all the threads that we came from. That means, for example, now we are at find all, right? Before that, we were inside process method. So this is basically process method. Before that, we have multiple invocations which Java Spring Boot did for us, right? In order to come to controller. So that is how you can see what all threads are present over here, right? You can just go ahead and export this particular threads as well. You can just get this particular thread dump and save this, right? Simple stuff. So those are basically basics of your Java debugger, right? Now if I mute it and resume it, it will just go, it will just return us the result. Simple stuff, right? Nothing complex over here. And this is something we have already seen in the last video. We have seen it in bit more detail over there in that particular video. So if you want to learn more about basics, you can just go ahead and check out that video. Alright, so now things will get interesting when we'll look into the advanced stuff. So let's get started with the advanced stuff over here. So first thing, let's look into the smart step into. So let's go back over here, and let me just unmute all the breakpoints, and let's try to hit this particular send button again. Now what I will do here, if you see, we have order service.process orders, right? And here if you see the process order function, what it is doing, it is just doing orders.stream, and we have map function first, which will just enrich the order. What it will do, it will just set the status to retry. After that, what we are doing, we are just doing some other operations and saying to list and returning that particular list over here. After that, what I will do, I will just add a debug point over here on this return statement. And let's proceed and let's see what happens. Now we are in find all, and now we are in process orders, right? So now we came to process orders. Now what I will do, instead of saying step into directly, I will just go to this particular three dots and say smart step into, or we can just press shift F7 as well, but I will just press this smart step into. And now if you see what it is doing, it is just giving you the option that there are many methods used over here, in which method you want to step into, because this is a single expression. Now if I say that let's step into this enrich order, so it came to enrich order now, right? How cool is that? Now here we are deciding in which method we want to step into. So that is basically your smart step into. We are not letting that guy to decide where to go, rather than we are telling it that go to this particular method. Now if you see, it came to enrich method. Now if I say step over, it will return the order. After that, it came back over here. It came back to our controller. Now it is just running this for loop. Now it just returned the result and we have the result on the console. Now let's try to send it again. And next time, let's try to do this another time. And if I go to this particular process orders again, now let's again say smart step into. Now instead of going into enrich orders, let's try to go into, let's say, map function, or let's go inside toList, right? So if I click on toList over here, now if you see, it is going inside a toList method, which is basically method of your stream pipeline. Simple stuff, isn't it? Now if I say step over, it came back, and now what I will do, I will just say step over again and it will just proceed and we will get the result on the console. That is basically your smart step into. After that, let's proceed and let's look into variable breakpoints. We have seen the line breakpoint. So when we click over here, it is basically a line breakpoint, right? It's a line breakpoint. But let's say, let's go to process orders and let's say we have this variable, right? I have initialized it to none. And here in the peak, what we are doing, we are just putting the status of order inside this particular variable. Now what I will do, I will just click over here and I will remove all the debug points. I'll say done. Now what I want to do, I want to track whenever this particular variable is being changed. That means if someone is changing this variable, I want to stop there. So let's say here the variable is being changed. So I want to stop. What I will do, I will just say, I will go ahead and click over here. So you will see this particular eye icon over here, which says it is kind of a field watch point or it is kind of a variable breakpoint, right? Now if I hover on this particular eye icon, it says it's a field watch point or it's a variable breakpoint in simple terms basically. If I right click on it, we have again similar kind of options, right? It's a simple stuff. I'll just say done over here. Now what I will do, I will just run applications again. Let's see what happens this time. If I say run, then did you see what happened? Did I have a breakpoint over here? No, I did not add. It says it's a watch point. Now, since I added a watch point or a breakpoint or a variable breakpoint over here on this field, now at this moment, this particular variable is being modified. That's why it stopped over here, right? Our debugger stopped over here because this particular variable is being modified. Now it is saying that the value of this particular variable is being modified to retry, right? How cool is that? Now if I proceed, it will just return us the result. Now what I will do, that is how you can make use of this particular variable breakpoint, right? Variable breakpoint, and you can get the value of each variable whenever it is being changed. Simple stuff, right? What I can do, let's say, let me just modify that particular variable over here. Let me just change that variable to, let's say, even before changing it over here in the peak, I'm just changing it over here in the enrich order, which is being called before this particular peak. Now let me try to rerun this application in debug mode and let me try to send it again. So let me just unmute the breakpoint and let's try to send the request again. So now you'll see that even before stopping over here, it stopped over here because we are modifying it here as well. Now if I say resume program, then again it stopped over here because this variable is being modified here as well, right? So it stopped here as well. Now if I say proceed, now it will happen for each order like 5 times and it will just return us the result. So we got the result, right? Simple stuff. That is how you can have a watch point or a variable breakpoint on any variable you want and see whenever the value of this particular variable is being modified instead of just going through one by one line, right? So that is basically the simple stuff that you can achieve by using variable breakpoints. Interesting, isn't it? I find it very interesting and very helpful. I use it a lot, right? After that, let's look into method breakpoints. Method breakpoints is again a interesting stuff over here. Now, if you see, I have this enrich order, right? Which is a method basically. Now, what I want to do, I want to stop whenever this particular method will be called. So what I will do, I will just go ahead and add a debug point over here. Now, if you see over here, it is a diamond shaped breakpoint, right? It's a method breakpoint basically, right? It's a diamond shaped breakpoint and also called as a method breakpoint. Now what I will do, I'll just go ahead and try to send the request. Let's see what happens. Now if you see, since we have a breakpoint on this particular enrich order method, you will see that we have stopped as soon as this particular method is invoked. That means the first statement of this particular method is invoked. Now if I right click on it, you can stop on method entry and method exit as well. For example, now method entry is clicked, right? What I will do, I will click method exit as well. And if I proceed, you will see that it is stopping on method exit as well. Now if I say proceed, now it again got called second time. So it stopped on method entry. After that, if I proceed, it got stopped on exit. Now it will do it 3 times since we have 3 entries inside our orders, right? So that is how you can configure. Now, if I say right click and I only want to wait on exit, right? What I will do, I'll just click on exit and uncheck this particular method entry. And now what I will do, I'll just say send over here, and you will see that we are only stopping when the method is being executed instead of stopping on the entry of this particular method, right? Simple stuff, isn't it? So that is how you can make use of a method breakpoint. And this is basically a method present inside this particular application. Imagine that you have a interface. Let's say we have implements. Let's say I implement a runnable interface over here. Let me just implement a run method over here. And now if I go inside this particular runnable interface, now if I go ahead and put this debug point on this run method, then whenever this run method will be called, our application will stop in debug mode. Now let me just unmute it. Now if you see, as soon as I unmute it, it stopped on some invocation of run method at the background, right? So something is going on at the background and run method is being invoked, which basically stopped this particular execution, right? So you need to be careful when you make use of method breakpoints, because when you give breakpoints on interface, all its implementations will be come into picture and you will be able to stop it everywhere basically. So that is how a method breakpoints actually work, right? On methods and interfaces as well. What I will do, I'll just remove this. I don't really want it over here. And I will just move this runnable interface as well. Remove this runnable interface. So we have seen the method breakpoints as well. So all these 3 stuff we have seen. After that, let's proceed to stream chains. It is very cool stuff and very important when you are playing around with streams. So let me show you the magic of stream chains. I have also recently learned it. I wish I knew it earlier. So let's go back over here. What I will do, I'll just go to this particular other application where I have a lot of stream related operations, right? For example, let me go to this particular find average example. Very simple example over here. What is the task? The task is to find the average of all these elements, right? We have all these elements and we have a simple pipeline. We just say numbers.stream. We just say map to int. It will map all these particular numbers to integer, from this particular integer to a int stream. After that, we'll just say average, or else we'll return 0. Now what I will do, I will run this code in debug mode. Before that, you will notice that I have added these 2 debug points over here. Now what I will do, I'll just say debug. Now here, if you see, it stopped over here. Now let me just proceed to next line. Now in this particular line, what do we have? We have numbers.stream. Now what I will do, I will just click on these 3 dots over here, and here you will see the option of trace current stream chain. Now if I click on it, you will see that a stream trace will be opened. The step-by-step pipeline of your stream. So first, what it is showing that we have numbers of stream. We have numbers.stream. That means it is just creating a stream from this particular number. That means we have a 5 element inside this particular stream. After that, what do we have? We have map to int. That means for each number, it is just mapping to the respective int. You can just go ahead and visualize it, right? What exactly is happening over here. So map to int is basically doing this stuff, converting from this to this. After that, what do we have? We have average. What it is doing now, it is just making the sum of all these particular elements, and it is just returning us one result. And after that, we will have our average value, which is basically 15. So now you can just go ahead and look into each element inside your stream, right? How cool is that? You won't really feel any confusion if you use this debugger tool while making use of stream. If I go back over here to our demo debug application, then here also we have stream, right? What I will do, I'll just add a debug point back again, and let's try to send this request, and let's see what is happening over here. Now here, if you see, the control came to our orders.stream. Now again, what I can do, I can just click on these 3 dots. I will just say trace current stream chain, and again we will get the chain over here. So first we have orders.stream. After that, what map is doing? map is just converting the status to retry. It is just mapping basically the status, right? Now you'll see that each invocation have these arrows and stuff as well. Now if I say peak, then you will see that the peak operation is present. After that there is toList, which will just give you the immutable collection of 3 elements. That is how you can make use of stream trace to see what exactly is happening. That is how you can make use of this particular option over here to trace your current stream chain. It will be very easy to visualize what is happening inside your stream chain, right? So that is how you can just make use of a stream chain in order to visualize your stream operations. That is basically your stream chain. Now let's quickly look into move to cursor, right? So let's go back over here, and let's say I have a debugger over here, I have a debug point over here, and I have debug point inside this process orders. After that, let's say I have debug point inside find all as well. Now let's try to rerun this particular or send this particular API request. Now we are here, right? Now what I want to do, I want to skip everything in between, and I directly want to go, let's say, over to enrich order to my cursor over here. I have a cursor over here. I want to skip everything in between and directly go to this line in the flow. What I can do, I can just say right click, and here you will see that run to cursor is there, right? I can just click on it and it will just come to this particular cursor point. So all the lines in between will be skipped unless you have a specific breakpoint at any line. For example, if I add this particular, let's say, breakpoint over here, then it will first stop over here and then come to this particular cursor. So if I go back over here, let's say inside a controller, before that what I will do, I'll just go inside find all and I will just add a debug point over here. Now this particular debug point comes before our enrich order, right? So what I will do now, let's rerun this first. So let's quickly send this. And now if I go inside process orders, and let's say I want to move to this cursor, so what I will do, I'll just run to cursor. Then first this particular debug point will be executed. After that, the next debug point will be executed. And now if I say run to this particular cursor, then it will come to this particular cursor, right? So your line breakpoints will be honored in this case. If you don't have any other breakpoint, then it will just go to this particular cursor, right? So that is how your move to cursor actually works. After that, let's move to exceptions, right? So exceptions are basically important stuff when it comes to your Spring Boot application. So now what I can do, now if you see over here, inside our order controller, we are just saying repository.findAll. And inside find all, we have this list of 3 elements. First we have this order, after that we have this order which is failed, after that we have this order which is null. So what I will do, I'll just add a simple filter over here. So for each order, if order.getStatus is equals to failed, then what I just want to return that order from here itself, right? Failed order, I want to return, let's say. So what I will do, I'll just stop this application and rerun now. Now if you see, our application is basically started, and now if I try to send this request, then you will see that we will get a 500 because this will throw a null pointer exception, right? So if you see over here, we are getting this particular null pointer exception. Now how we can debug where exactly we are getting this exception? Now before we go ahead and look into this particular issue manually, I want to show you a tool that has completely changed how I go ahead and look into the issues inside our application, especially when it comes to real world Spring Boot applications. The name of the tool is Verdent AI, and let me quickly show you. So here if I go and let me just load this website. So there we go. This is basically the website of Verdent AI. And what I like about this tool is it focuses on planning and alignment even before writing your code, and not just generating kind of a random snippets, right? Now here you will see it's your AI native partner for new ways to build softwares. You can just go ahead and download it from here. Not only that, you can go ahead and integrate Verdent AI with your favorite IDE as well, be it VS Code or be it your JetBrains IntelliJ IDE that we are using over here, right? We are using IntelliJ basically. So we can just go ahead and integrate this Verdent AI seamlessly inside JetBrains as well. After that, if I scroll down over here, We can just describe what we want and Verdent handles the work. It keeps you in loop and returns result you can trust. So by using Verdent, developers can plan their APIs and features even before writing the code. You can just go ahead and give the simple prompt over here and rest will be handled by Verdent. After that, here you will see we have advanced agent available as well. After that, you can choose from different AI models as well. We have GPT, we have Gemini, we have Sonnet. You can just go ahead and choose anyone you want. You can also work parallelly in Verdent, right? It has the ability of parallel thinking, which is very powerful. You can parallelly work on multiple isolated workspaces so that your code base stays clean and conflict free. And not only that, you can just create documentations, you can do data analysis, you can create prototypes. There are a lot of stuff you can do by using Verdent AI, and it is trusted by big organizations as well. So instead of jumping directly inside a code and debugging later once you get issues, Verdent will help you to plan your work and think through the design first, and after that you will just go ahead and implement, so that you will reduce your debugging effort later. So what I will do, let's have a small demo. So what I will do, I'll just integrate it inside a JetBrains. You can just go ahead and install your respective IDE. If you already have, you can just install the Verdent plugin over here. If I click on that, you will just go to JetBrains Marketplace. You can just get this particular plugin. You can just download it and add it inside your IntelliJ. Or what you can do, you can just go directly to your IntelliJ. And what you can do, you can just say Shift. And here inside actions, you can just search for plugins. If I go inside plugin, let's try to search for Verdent AI over here. Now you'll see that this particular plugin is basically available. What you can do, you can just say install over here. Now let it install this particular plugin. Now once you install, you will just need to restart your IDE. So what I will do, I'll just quickly restart it and let me just terminate the running process. So let our IntelliJ come up. Now here, once we restart our IntelliJ, at the right side, you will see that there is this logo of Verdent. Once you click on it, it will ask you to sign up. You can just quickly go ahead and sign up over here. Alright, so once you sign in inside your Verdent AI, inside IntelliJ, you will see a UI like this. Now here you can just go ahead and type your prompt. Here you will see that you will find a plan, chat and agent mode. After that, here you will find different AI models as well. You can just go ahead and choose anyone you want. Now what I will do, I will just type a prompt that I'm getting a null pointer exception over here. Let's see what happens. So I've just typed a prompt saying I'm getting a null pointer exception over here. What exactly is the wrong, right? So let me just click enter now. Now let's see what exactly it is doing. Now see, it is saying that the issue is on line 15. You are calling order.getStatus.equal failed without checking if the get status returns null first. So that is basically the exact problem. And now if you see over here, it already fixed the problem as well. Even if order.getStatus is null, it will just compare it with fail and it will return false. Now let me just try to stop and rerun this application. Let's see what happens. Now what I will do, I will just go ahead and send this request again. Now you will see that we are getting the response. How cool is that? I just gave a simple prompt over here and it found out the issue, the precise issue that we highlighted over here. And after that, it also fixed it instantly. Now let's try and let's ask it to create a simple API to return us all the orders, right? So I will just add a prompt over here. So if you see over here, it is a pretty simple prompt which says write an API to return all the orders from repository. And I will just say send. Let's see what happens. Now here, if you see, it is reading your controller, it is reading your repository classes, and let's see what it is doing now. And here, if I scroll down here, if you see, it modified our order controller and added this particular API now. Now let's try to hit this particular API. What I will do, I will just stop and rerun this. And if I go back over here, let me see if the application is started. It is started basically. And what I will do, I will just say get API. I will just remove this process from here and just say orders. Now if I send it, you will see that we are getting the complete list over here. That means it is just returning this particular list of orders which is present inside our repository. How cool is that? And here you can also go ahead and review the changes. It will just show you the comparison between what has been changed, right? How cool is that? Simple stuff, isn't it? Here also, you will see that what has been changed in the earlier change. It has just changed this particular statement over here, which fixed our problem. That is how by using Verdent agent mode, you will be able to write code. Even before that, if you select plan over here, and now if you pass the prompt, it will first plan before implementing. So you will have the entire context ready. And once you have the entire design ready, you can ask it to implement and it will just go ahead and implement it for you, right? So whether you are trying to design API or debug issues Or let's say you want to fix the existing Spring Boot code as well. The Verdent AI fits inside your workflow naturally. So it's pretty cool, right? So I have added Verdent AI link in the description, so you can just go ahead and check it out. And you can just go ahead and install it inside your IDE or install a desktop application. And let's see how it works for you inside your own projects. So now what we will do, let me just close this, and now I will go to order service. And what I will do, I will just revert this change now. And now let's see how we can solve this by using IntelliJ Debugger. Now here what we did, we added this particular filter, and which is basically failing our application. Now what we can do, we can just have an exception breakpoint, right? Now what I will do, I'll just run our application in debug mode, and let's see what happens over here. And what I will do, I will just go to this particular option over here, which says view breakpoints. And here you will see that there is a Java exception breakpoint, right? Now what I can do, I can just say add, I can just go ahead and add a Java exception breakpoint. And what I will do, I will just add a null pointer exception over here. Let's say null pointer exception. That means whenever a null pointer exception occurs inside my application, you just stop there. Now what I will do, I will just send this again. And now it stopped over here first. It stopped to find all because we have this debug point. Or rather what I will do, I'll just remove or mute all other debug points. And let's proceed now. Now if you see over here, it stopped over here. It stopped, and you will see this particular icon. It says exception breakpoint, because it found that this particular statement is going to throw a null pointer exception, and it stopped over here. Now if I just select this particular statement, right click and say evaluate expression and say evaluate, then you will see that this statement is going to give me a null pointer exception. And why this will give me a null pointer exception? Because if I select this statement and say evaluate, then you will see that order.getStatus is null. That is why it is giving us a null pointer exception. And you will also see it over here. If I open this, it will just show you that it is giving us the null pointer exception, because the return value of this guy is basically null. So that is how you can make use of this particular exception breakpoint. Very, very important stuff. So we can just now proceed, and you can add multiple such breakpoints. For example, if you want any exception, you can just select that. If you want any specific exception, you can just select that, and it will just wait for you there, right? Simple stuff basically. Now what I will do, I'll just remove this because we don't really want to throw exception now. And this debugger helped us to debug the exception. Now what I will do, I'll just stop and rerun so that our code changes will reflect. After that, evaluate expressions also we have seen. What I will do, I'll just enable our debug points again. Let me unmute it. Now let me just send it. Now any expression, let's say this particular expression is there. What you can do, you can just right click, you can just say evaluate expression, and you can just go ahead and evaluate the expression even before you execute that statement. And here you will simply get what exactly is the output of that particular expression, right? What you can do, when you select, you can make use of this option as well, which is evaluate expression. Same thing again, or you can enable from over here as well, evaluate expression, which will evaluate for you. Or you can just copy and paste it over here as well. It says evaluate expression, and it will just give you the result. That is basically evaluate expression for you. Very, very important stuff. So that is how you can make use of evaluate expression to evaluate your current expressions. After that, we have threads and dumps. We have already seen that. So we have threads over here. If you see, we have frames, and here we have threads as well. So here you can just go ahead and make use of this threads option to look into what exactly are the threads that are coming into picture when you are making use of this particular debugger and going through all the threads. Now if I proceed, you will see that multiple other threads are added. Now we are in order repository. Now if you see, we are in order service. So all these things are basically added, and you can just go ahead and export this particular thread dump as well. You can just copy it and make use of it, right? So that is basically thread dump for you. After that, let me show you another thing. Let's say this enrich order is there, and we have this debug point. Now if I right click on this particular debug point, you will see an option called as suspend. If I click on it, you will see that there is this particular evaluate and log. So what I will do, I'll just say that our enrich method called, right? Enrich called, right? Now let's say done. Now let's see what happens, right? Now what I will do, I'll just go ahead and hit the API again. Now you will see that particular log is being printed over here. Now what actually happened? Now if you see over here, if I go inside it, you will see that there is a different color of this particular breakpoint, which is called as a suspended one. Now this is a suspended breakpoint. Now your application will not stop over here. Rather, it will just log an expression saying that our enrich is called. So that is something you can also make use of. It's a suspended expression basically, where you won't really stop on this particular debugger, but you can go ahead and log operations over here, right? You can do this by using this particular suspend operation, and you can just say evaluate and log over here. After that, we have also seen a memory option in the last video. So let's quickly have a recap of it. So here you will see that we have a memory option. So whenever you are waiting at a debug point, you can just load respective classes over there, right? Now here you will see what all classes are present. So here, let's say we search for a order service, right? So you will see that there is this particular one object of your order service. So there is this one count of your order service, right? So by using this memory option, you will see how many objects of each class has been created in this particular application, right? So this is basically advanced stuff that you can make use of in order to look into your memory. So memory option you can also go ahead and make use of. After that, you can also go ahead and put breakpoints in async functions. For example, here in the notification service, this particular send notification is a asynchronous function. That means it will keep running in the background, right? It will keep running in the background in the different threads. Now what I will do, I will just go ahead and let's try to execute this. Now we are in the main thread, right? Here if you see, we are in this particular http new 8080 main thread. Now let's proceed. Now we are in find all. Now we are in process orders. Now we are about to go inside this notification service, send notification. Now let's keep an eye over here. Let's see what happens. Now if I say proceed, you will see that there is a new task. That means it is a different threads. It is a different thread. You will see that this is a async stack trace over here. If I go inside threads, you will see that this guy is a different thread running in a completely different thread apart from main thread. And now if I say proceed again, you will see that there is another task, which is task 9 now, because now it is running inside a loop. So all the threads will run parallelly. So async debugging also we can just go ahead and do over here, simple stuff. So that's how you can go ahead and debug your Spring Boot application inside your IntelliJ IDEA, right? It's a simple stuff. So we have seen these stream chains, we have seen move to cursor, we have seen these exception breakpoints, evaluate expression, we have seen threads and dumps as well. After that, we have seen how we can debug async functions as well. We have seen the advanced stuff. So IntelliJ Debugger provides a very powerful tool which will help you to smartly debug your Spring Boot applications and promptly find your issues inside your Spring or Java applications. So go ahead and make use of these debugging features. It's completely free. You can just go ahead and enable it inside your IntelliJ IDEA. You just need to run your application in debug mode. Very, very simple stuff. You can just go ahead and do it and be an effective developer, because debugging is a very important skill every developer should have. So that's it for this particular video. If you like the video, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to Code Snippet. Share this video with your friends so that they also have idea about how to debug inside IntelliJ IDEA. That's it for this video. See you in the next video.